Welcome to What You Must Know About Estimated Closing Costs. I'm your host, Bill Ladwig. This is one of a series of videos dedicated to the idea that consumer education is the very best form of consumer protection. So what are closing costs? Well, technically they're broken down into two categories. Closing costs are costs that occur once at closing, such as lender, escrow, and title fees. Or prepaid reserves, which are recurring expenses, such as taxes and insurance. Whatever they're called, estimated closing costs must be as accurate as possible. So who pays closing costs? Well, closing costs can be paid by the borrower with cash at closing, the seller as a buyer credit at closing, a lender credit using rebate from an increased rate, or by some combination of the above. What is the purpose of this estimate? It sounds like kind of a dumb question, but the purpose depends on the point of view. The borrower's point of view is obvious. They want an accurate estimate of the cash required to close so they can budget and not come up short at closing. Compare loan costs and acquire an accurate estimate of future housing expense. Loan officers see the estimate differently. They see it in one of two ways. A sales tool to minimize or eliminate costs so they appear to be less expensive, or as a reliable information source that accurately estimates costs. I'm going to show you how to tell the difference. Here is a fees worksheet used by many lenders. At the top you see a list of the fees, and at the bottom there are the totals. Because most borrowers are not familiar with lender terminology or what to look for, many skip the detail and go straight to the totals at the bottom. I don't treat this estimate as a sales tool, so it's not unusual for my estimates to be $2,000 to $3,000 higher than some other lenders. They really aren't higher, just accurate. But before I show you why, let's explore the totals a bit. On the left we have totals for closing costs and prepaids. Notice in this example the prepaids are $4,100 for this impounded loan. The point here is prepaids and impounds are a significant amount, and all home loans above 89% loan-to-value require impounds at closing. There's no bargains here. All lenders figure impounds and prepaids exactly the same way. This estimate is for an FHA loan, so here's the amount for upfront mortgage insurance. All lenders charge exactly the same, so there should not be any variation between lenders for FHA mortgage insurance on equal loan amounts. Over here on the right is a breakdown of the housing expense. Except for hazard insurance, all amounts in housing expense from every lender using the same rate and loan amount must be exactly the same for accurate estimates. Hazard insurance can vary considerably due to many issues: age of the home, type of construction, fire danger, etc. However, in California, it would be rare to have it less than $60 a month. If a condominium is being purchased, the hazard insurance is included in the homeowners association fee, so there must be an HOA fee included for condos. Because hazard insurance is such a variable, it's a good idea to Google homeowners insurance quotes and check the rates for homes in your area. Okay, let's see how I arrived at the total to close. The first thing to note, this fee worksheet is not a good faith estimate, so the lender, title, and escrow fees are not guaranteed. Borrowers do not receive a good faith estimate with guaranteed fees until 3 days after the application date. By this time, a credit report and appraisal have already been ordered, and most borrowers feel committed, which is the idea if the original estimate is only a loan officer's sale tool. You must know the only amounts under loan officer's control are the lender's rates, points, and fees. If you're rate shopping, these are the only numbers that count. Every other fee is an estimate of somebody else's charges. However, all the other fees are easily available to all mortgage professionals and should be accurately presented to provide a good picture of the total cash to close. I was going for a 0-point loan, and the closest I could get was a small rebate shown here as a credit. There's much to discuss about points, so I invite you to see the Points and Nonsense video on my website. The amount of the appraisal and the credit reports are typical for a single-family home. An appraisal on a more expensive home or income units will cost more. Most appraisers require upfront payment when they inspect the property. FHA mortgage insurance is typically financed, so while it's shown here as a fee, it is not included in the total cash to close. It is also checked to indicate that it is calculated in the APR. If this estimate is for a condominium, look for a fee for the homeowner association certification that's required by every lender. I use a mid-price title company's title and escrow fee calculator to estimate title, escrow, and recording fees, so they should be very close to the actual costs at close. Here's where it gets tricky. The amounts below can vary hugely. As you saw in the total slide, prepaids and impounds amount to almost half the total fees on this estimate. 2 months prepaid insurance goes into the impound account for all impounded loans. In California, tax impounds can vary from 2 months' taxes to 10. So for this loan, impound estimates could vary as much as $3,000. When no closing date is specified, the loan officer must use 6 months' tax impounds. This is a standard California tax impound schedule used by all lenders. You can see that 6 months is a good California average without a closing date. The actual amount depends on the closing month. When a closing date is unknown, the loan officer must estimate at least 15 days of prepaid interest. Prepaid interest begins on the day the loan is funded and extends to the first day of the following month, and the first payment is the next month after. For example, if the loan closes on January 10th, there would be 21 days prepaid interest until February 1st, and the first payment date would be on March 1st. Every lender requires hazard insurance to be prepaid for 1 year. You will not find prorated taxes on many estimates, although in most cases they will show up at closing. Prorations are how buyers reimburse sellers for the seller's prepaid taxes. Sellers pay their taxes until closing, and buyers begin paying taxes as soon as they own the property. Because we don't have a property address, and we have an unknown closing date, the amount is unknown, so I use $500. There could be prorations for HOA fees if you're purchasing a condominium or home in a planned unit development. The last 2 fees are optional. They're included here because they're often applied and good things to have. Actually, in my opinion, a professional home inspection is not optional. I would not recommend purchasing without one. Just as you should have an accurate estimate of cost to close before you purchase, you should also have a good idea of the possible costs for repairs after you purchase. A home warranty is a good idea, especially for families on a tight budget. Unexpectedly, having to cough up $1,000 or more to replace a broken water heater in the first year could break the budget. When you want straight answers and accurate disclosures, call me 24/7. Your advantage is my experience. You can also email me with your questions and comments at bill@yourfhaguru.com. You can also go to my website and find most lending information you'll ever need. Thanks for attending. I hope to speak with you soon.